Hey everybody, how's it going? So, I don't know if you've heard the news, but we have a release date. October 27th is what they showed, though some are now saying 26th because of the global time release that they're showing. They're like, well, it'll be the 26th because if it releases in this time zone. And anyways, 26th, 27th, whichever. Late October. That's Shadowlands is finally coming out at that time. I have a suspicion maybe the pre-patch might be in a month. They may have it up for a month. I don't know how long they plan to have the pre-patch up. So, I think the pre-patch for BFA was up relatively decent amount of time so that people could do it to get the rewards of the couple extra mounts. But anyways, yeah, they announced the release date after they showed the first episode of their newest animated series. Now, I was hoping they were gonna do this, but I hadn't really heard anything about it until they announced it with the trailer about the series, which I am very happy about. So, ever since Miss Pandaria, they've been doing these animated shorts to really help expand on the lore and the backstory. In Pandaria, they focused on Emperor Shao Hao and his story. In Warlords, they had one on a few of the different warlords, which were really good. I actually showed one of those. I think it was on Kargath. They had a few for Legion, focused on Gul'dan, Illidan, and Khadgar. And then in BFA, they had a few on Jaina, Sylvanas, and Ajara. And they have always, I thought, done those extremely well. You know, I just think the quality of those are absolutely fantastic. And after this first episode, I can tell you it's no different. Like, regardless of how you feel about the subject matter or whether or not you're someone who thinks the story is ridiculous or stupid or whatever, the quality of work in these is absolutely outstanding. And it really shows, not just in the visuals with the animations, but also the voice acting. Oh my goodness, the voice acting is so good. And it's that's really important when they don't have moving animations in terms of their lips moving. They just show a still image to try and help get that across. But we'll be showing that in just a bit here, because now, to clarify, this is not a reaction. I've already seen this multiple times. I've rewatched it multiple times. I've watched other people react to it to get their takes on it. So I've seen this extensively. I just wanted to talk about it. I wanted to discuss it. Because this one, well, let's just say I feel very attached to because of a couple of the characters that are involved here. Now, also I want to point out, in case you're wondering, have I gotten a chance to participate in the alpha or the beta for Shadowlands? No. I was not invited to participate, so I have not personally played the alpha or beta or any of the actual Shadowlands content, with the exception of what they have now available on the PTR, which is basically just seeing the Scourge Invasion event, which is awesome, and also going to Ice Crown, seeing the Sky Broken, and checking out the dailies there, which is, I guess, stuff you'll do in the pre-patch before we actually go into the Shadowlands, as well as to try out the brand new starter zone they have there and see all the class changes and report any bugs, which I did find one hilarious one involving glitching out the head of my Demon Hunter because of the tattoos, but they did fix that after I reported it. So, but that's my extent of my personal interaction with any Shadowlands related content. So have not really looked at that extensively into those who have been streaming or recording the actual campaigns for the zones. So I don't fully know every detail about what is going to happen, and I'm okay with that, since I would actually like to go ahead and experience that with all the cutscenes and the voice acting that the beta and alpha are just lacking right now. So I would prefer to wait until it goes live so I can experience it in the way it's actually intended to be experienced, with all the voice acting and all the cutscenes and everything. So, but I really wanted to talk about this one. So I'm going to be pausing from time to time to discuss something that is just on my mind. I've been thinking about stuff in this AMH short quite extensively since they debuted it yesterday. I'm doing this the day after. But I've just had, numerous thoughts about this. So we're going to be going through this. I'm going to be pausing from time to time and just discuss it. Okay? So hope you guys enjoy my little discussion here, and feel free to lend in your own discussion in the comments, your own 2 cents or questions or whatever. I'd love to hear what you guys think, and, or see if I can answer any questions. I'm not going to claim to be as extensive of a knowledgeable lore player like Noble the Noble, but I'd like to think at this point I've gotten pretty decent when it comes to my knowledge of the lore and such. So let's check this out, shall we? Hi, Uther. And hi, Death Knight Arthas. So first off, this is a beautiful way to start this off. No words said between the two. Two characters you immediately recognize. It's an iconic moment from Warcraft 3. And I love the way this shot is shown. You see Uther and Arthas here. There's Invincible. And then over here, some of the Scourge. And I like that it shows a meat wagon there, because if you remember in the actual mission in Warcraft 3, you mainly had to make ghouls and meat wagons to help out Arthas take on the paladins in that mission along with Uther. So, very nice touch.
Light, save my soul.
Uther.
Where am I?
Welcome to Bastion. You led a truly...
This is Devos. And, well, I have a number of thoughts about her and her part in this short, but I just want you to really pay attention to how Devos kind of changes in this short, to kind of, and I will kind of lend my own take on that. So,
selfless life, and for that, you have been chosen.
Chosen?
To shed your mortal burdens and join the ranks of the Ascended, serving to ferry the souls of the dead unto the Shadowlands.
I serve the light, and my work is not done. There is an evil that must be...
There is no evil here. The darkness was sealed within the Maw long ago.
You're wrong. He destroyed my home, murdered my people and my king. He must be punished.
You are an aspirant now. You must accept your new purpose and purge yourself of this desire for vengeance.
What I desire is justice.
now, some have wondered, why is it that Uther is thinking and feeling this way? What's about to come up soon is going to explain why, and I will further delve into that when we get to that moment. But I do want to address something in regards to how Devos was immediately dismissive of what Uther was saying, and why some people have questioned what's going on in regards to the Kyrians here and their reaction to this news. You know, there is no evil. It was sealed within the Maw long ago. The Kyrians, we have to remember, they're not exactly paying attention to what's going on Azeroth. Also, we have to also remind ourselves, this right now is taking place during Warcraft 3. Because the implication here is that this happened right after he was killed by Death Knight Arthas. So that's where this is taking place. This is not taking place during the events of BFA. No. As we will see later on, this took place long ago, like right after, Uther died in Warcraft 3. So I want you to remember that. But it also is about to lend some more as to why the Kyrians are, some people are like, how do they not know about this? Because as we're going to see, the Kyrians are kind of in their own little world here, so to speak. The character she is about to converse with is a shining example of this, which, has made me have some thoughts and has drawn some similarities to another group, which I will mention. But yeah. Whoops. Nope. Wrong button.
Devos, why are you training this soul? It is beneath your station as a paragon.
He cannot let go.
I want to really point that out right there. It is beneath your station. Well, this is beneath you. I really pay attention to how this guy talks and what he says. It really lends a lot towards how we can understand what their thinking is. The Kyrians' line of thinking.
Oh, he continues to demand retribution for his death.
And this concerns you? Many souls take eons to ascend.
Yes, but this one seems broken, Thenios. Unlike any soul I have seen. I have begun to wonder whether he was deemed worthy of Bastion. By mistake.
Be careful, Devos. I would not let the Archon hear such a thought. In time, he will forget. Trust our ways. Trust the path.
So, oh man. Now, Devos is not necessarily thinking that, well, there's something wrong with Uther in terms of, I don't think he was worthy. This is a very foreign thing to her. She's never encountered a soul like Uther right now, because something is wrong with Uther's soul, and she's immediately recognizing it and picking up on it. Keep in mind, the Kyrians have been doing this for a long time, thousands of years, eons, as this guy was just saying. They've been doing this for a very, 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 very long time. And they have basically not had this kind of issue with a soul before, which is what is bothering her. But then we see that there is this mentality that many of the Kyrians have, which is, don't think about it. Oh, it's nothing. Don't concern yourself with this. Just trust in the path. Trust in our ways. If you're wondering what the path is, from what I understand, we learn a lot more about it when we actually quest through Bastion and Shadowlands. So just kind of hold off on trying to figure out exactly what that is, unless you want to just go ahead and delve into someone recording their, streaming and such of the entire campaign in Bastion. I'm personally just gonna hold off and wait, but you can kind of pick up on you can kind of pick up on an idea of what the path is basically like. The don't question our ways, just follow them. Just trust in our ways. Don't question anything. Does this sound kind of familiar? This kind of line of thinking and talk? This is the mentality that I'm picking up on when it comes to the leadership amongst the Kyrians. And it reminds me of another group, but I will hold off on that in just a tad bit longer. But what's about to happen here is a monumental moment for Devos, because this is going to be the moment that shakes her to her core and changes everything for her.
Devos, how long must we train?
Until you are ready to ascend.
And what is keeping me from ascension?
Nothing but the memory of your mortal life.
How can I forget when I can still feel his blade?
Your soul is wounded?
Did you notice the change in her voice there? She immediately changed her tone and voice the moment she saw that. This is something extremely different and unusual. She never even considered the idea or the possibility that a soul could be wounded. What could wound a soul is her line of thinking right now. this is not something they've ever encountered before. And the reason I say that is not me stating a fact or anything. It's just what I'm interpreting based on her verbal reaction. This is where I give immense credit to the voice acting. The voice acting really lends to my takes and interpretations on how they are reacting to these things. This is a huge revelation for Devos, and this is going to change quite a bit for her, especially when she's about to find out even more about this.
Who did this to you?
He was my student. He betrayed us all.
Show me.
Now, I want you guys to take note right there. This is an important moment. This is really important. Right there is Uther's soul being basically pulled out of his body. And now look what happens. You see that? It was split. Now watch where each half goes. This half goes into Frostmourne. This half goes this way. The implication is that this is the half that is talking to Devos right now in Bastion. This is the half that goes into Frostmourne, and this is the part of his soul that we actually interact with and converse in Icecrown Citadel back in Wrath, where we went to the Halls of Reflection dungeon, and he told us about that we had to defeat the Lich King at the Frozen Throne, and that part of Arthas was still trapped, and that he was the only reason why the Lich King is basically being held back, or being slightly manipulated by Arthas to be able to give us the chance to defeat him. This is also explains why this part of Uther, right here, is also the one that we converse with at his tomb in Legion as a Retribution Paladin when we're trying to find the Ashbringer. And from what I understand, based on what we're going to be seeing from this part of Uther, the rest of this animated short, this part has never reconnected with this part. Because otherwise, well, let's just say I think things would have been differently had his soul been made complete and both halves were brought back together. But let's continue. That look on her face and that sound. Again, the voice actress does a great job in this short for Devos. That revelation right there, seeing Frostmourne, the runes are what shocks her right there, because she knows what those runes are, and she's about to say in the next scene, but that moment right there is what changes everything for Devos. That shocks her and rocks her to her core. The very idea that a weapon with those runes and that kind of power could just be out and about and do something like this to a soul is something she never considered a possibility. Ever. So what does she do? She goes to her leadership. Let's see how they react.
The runes on his blade were unmistakable. This dark agent runs free on a mortal world with the power of the Maw itself in hand. Our realm is imperiled.
Impossible. The Maw is inescapable. You must return to the path.
If he had purged his life, we never would have known of this calamity. The path is flawed.
Enough!
The order of the Shadowlands depends on the execution of our eternal charge. You will abandon this course.
As you command, my Archon.
So, this is what I'm talking about in regards to the leadership amongst the Kyrians. She brings them this news. What is their reaction? Oh, impossible. Nothing can escape the Maw. It's not possible. Just return to the path. Everything will be fine. It'll be alright. Just return to the path. You see what I'm talking about? And then the Archon just, no. You will forget about this. There's a lot of similarities that I'm picking up on This is just my own opinion, my own little interpretation here. But how many of you have played the original StarCraft? How many of you know about a group that ran the Protoss back on Ire called the Conclave? Yeah, the Conclave very much had this type of mentality as well. The Zerg cannot defeat us on our own homeworld. We will simply defeat the Zerg with the might and fury that is our heritage. Now, I know that was Aldera saying that, but he was saying that basically on behalf of the Conclave, because that was the mentality the Conclave just hammered into his head and the rest of the Protoss. They refused to acknowledge the possibility they could ever lose to the Zerg. By the way, the Zerg then killed the Conclave, even when they were in denial right to the very end. This is why I say they're very similar in that regard. Just now, from what I understand, our characters our player characters in WoW are going to be what are considered Maw Walkers. We are going to be characters who are capable of going into the Maw and just leaving. So we are able to do, as that one Kyrian put it, we are able to do the impossible. We are able to walk somewhere and then leave somewhere that is considered inescapable. I just wonder how much his beliefs and mind are going to shatter when he realizes what we can do, and when he finds out, yes, the Maw, in fact, can be escaped. And, well, if the Archon is just going to immediately shut this down, I imagine what our interactions with the Archon are going to be like. Because I will say this is the kind of thing that very much turns me away from ever wanting to side with the Kyrians. Now, I will be doing the Kyrians Covenant campaign on my Paladin, because to me that just fits perfectly. So on one character, I will, of course, do that for the content, the cosmetics. I want the angel wings for my Paladin. Are you kidding? I want my Paladin to have wings like this, like Devos. Oh my gosh, I want those wings. Which you can get, by the way, and I want those so badly. But yeah, this is not painting the leadership of the Kyrians in a positive light. Now, obviously you can see Devos' face. She's not gonna abandon this. She is committed to doing something about this. Now, it's also important to note for Devos, this is my take on it. She has had this entire, way of doing things basically the whole time of her existence here. She has considered the Maw the worst of the worst, the darkest of the dark, in certain, in a number of ways, number of terms, I guess I could say. She considers the Maw the absolute worst, the absolute evil, the darkness, in her mind. And this is going to affect how she goes forward with dealing with this news for the rest of this short. Watch what she does from here on out. And I will kind of explain it and give my take on it. Not necessarily wanting to defend her, but to kind of help understand where she's coming from. Because some people think, I've heard some people say that they think she immediately turned evil here. I don't think she turned evil at all. I think she went to the extreme. She had a very extreme reaction to this. But then again, I think there is a lot of extremism and zealotry when it comes to the Kyrians, just in general, from what I've been seeing. But anyways.
Uther! The time of your ascension has come.
I thought I was not ready.
Do you wish to see him punished?
I do.
Then prepare yourself. The moment he falls, we will claim him.
And of course, we immediately know what this moment is. We immediately know the moment that he did fall. And, well, just seeing the broken Frostmourne gives that away. By the way, Uther looks awesome with the wings. I love that the first time we saw him in the beta, or the alpha, when people were streaming it, we dubbed him Bluther. The term Bluther was born. So, But oh my gosh, this callback to this scene. And the music. Oh, it's the same music. Watch what happens here.
I see. Only darkness before me.
Oh, wow, that callback. That callback right there with that visual image. Now, I should clarify a couple of things for that moment that some people I think are really might be missing out on. For one thing, that is not Death Knight Arthas. That is not the Arthas that killed Uther. That was Death Knight Arthas, where Arthas' soul was removed from his body. That is now the real Arthas because we broke Frostmourne and his soul has finally been returned to him right before he dies. So this is now the real Arthas, the one who didn't commit those horrible things after he pulled Frostmourne. I've always said, yes, he did go to the stuff that he did before he got Frostmourne, you know, the burning of the ships, the killing of the mercenaries. I don't count Stratholme, because Stratholme, I have defended Arthas' decision. I've made it very clear in my Warcraft 3 Reforged playthrough as to why. Some of the other things when he got to Northrend, trying to find Frostmourne, like the burning of the ships, the killing of the mercenaries, yeah, those were questionable, but understandable. So I still defend his decisions there. But he was not the one who killed Uther. That was Death Knight Arthas, a separate being running around in his skin while his soul was a prisoner in Frostmourne. And so, but the thing is, Devos doesn't know that, and neither does this half of Uther's soul, because you noticed how when she asked, "Do you want him punished?" he's like, "I do." Now, the Uther we knew from Warcraft 3 probably would not have jumped to that conclusion, because he even said, "We are paladins, Arthas. Vengeance must never be a part of something we must do." I believe that good half of Uther's soul is now in Icecrown. Like talking to us as we are doing the Shadowmourne questline. And it has not reconnected to this half who basically wants... He's going to call it justice, but let's be honest, it's vengeance. It's this I would go as far as to call it the dark half of Uther's soul, even though that may not necessarily be the case, may not be entirely true, but it's probably the closest thing that I can come up with to an equivalent of that. So...
Now, cast him into the maw. Return him to the darkness he served. His eternal suffering awaits.
This is an interesting decision by Devos. She could just do this herself. She got him, and she could have just cast him into the maw herself. But no, she asks Uther to do it. She actually ends up... I'm not necessarily sure as to why she would, care about Uther getting this satisfaction unless she's trying to help, make his soul whole, like she was trying to do earlier. And maybe that is her motivation, to try and help his soul, find completion, like it was trying to do earlier, but it couldn't be able to do that so that he could ascend. So she probably thinks this is the only way that Uther could do this. So she's now asking him to be the one to cast Arthas into the maw. Now, she said, return him to the darkness he served. Again, she doesn't know that this is the real Arthas who was not willingly serving the jailer. She has this idea, I think, that Arthas was a willing servant of the jailer because he was using a weapon, Frostmourne, that, this is the new retcon lore, has the power of the jailer. Frostmourne apparently was made in the Maw. It was stolen by the Nathrezim and given to be part of the Lich King along with the Helm of Domination. This is part of the new lore. So I think Devos sees Arthas as a willing servant of the jailer, which she considers the absolute worst thing you could do. How could you be a servant of the darkness, the jailer, the Maw? How could you do this? You are an evil, dark servant. You deserve this eternal suffering. I really think that's what she is going on about right here. So, in her eyes, she considers this a justified decision right here. So I don't fault her for wanting to do this, because she doesn't have all the information. You notice how many of the things that happen in this setting happen because a lot of people just don't have all the information to know what's really going on? And this moment right here, oh, this moment.
He was my student.
Remember what he did, and take your vengeance.
Not vengeance. Justice.
Oh man, that shot. Doesn't even throw him down or anything, he just lets him go. Just lets him go. And again, this is the real Arthas now. His soul has been returned to him. This is the Arthas that looked up to Uther like one of his own, like a father figure in his life. Oh, this is a heartbreaking moment for for those of us who know the truth about what happened and are fans of Arthas like myself. Also, I want to give immense credit to Michael McConaughey, who you can hear returned to do the voice of Uther. That moment where he's hesitating and breaking up, saying, he was my student. When I think what he's really saying is, he was like a son to me. Because he was. If you read the Arthas Rise of the Lich King book, which I highly recommend reading, those two were close. They were very close, like a father and son. In some ways, Uther and Muradin were more of a father to Arthas than King Tyrannus was. In some ways. Oh, but for this moment right here, this is a heartbreaking moment. And then we see this. And so that will lead us into Bastion to give us an idea as to what we are dealing with. Because apparently Devos and Uther are going to run off and start a separate group away from the Kyrians. And the Kyrians are going to be asking us to stop them. Which I'm like, do I have to? I'm very, again, I haven't seen the entire thing. So, in all of its details. But I'm hoping that they don't just straight up just let us join with the the conclave as I'm looking upon it right now amongst the Kyrian leadership, because I'm not too eager to join them. And I don't think Devos is evil. I think she is really thinking that she's justified in her actions here, actually taking action against what she perceives as the darkness of the jailer, when the Kyrians are simply refusing to do anything about it. She's like, okay, fine, they won't do anything about it, I'll just go ahead and do it myself. It almost reminds me of how Illidan was like, he wanted to try and convince the Night Elves of what was going on. They were like, oh, please, that can't be true, that won't happen. So Illidan was like, fine, I give up on trying to convince these fools, I'll just do something about it myself. Now, I'm not necessarily saying Devos is Illidan. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's a similar type of reaction. Like, okay, fine, I obviously can't convince these morons who won't see what's in front of them. They're just blindly going about their business, so I'll just go ahead and do something about it myself. Even if it means going against what they're telling me to do, breaking the rules, because somebody needs to do something about it. So, yeah. So let's just say I'm very interested in going through the questing in Bastion, which I believe is the first zone we'll be doing things in. In fact, I believe they said the order they're going to release these series, the episodes of the series, is going to be the order we go through the zones in this expansion. So first was Bastion, I believe next up is Maldraxxus, and then next will be Ardenweald, and then last will be Revendreth, which there were a couple of shots in the trailer for this series that caught my attention that made me go, ooh. Let's just say I'm very much looking forward to both the Maldraxxus one and the Revendreth one. Ardenweald, they're really going to have to pull something out to make me, like, really catch my attention. Like, something possibly having to do with either Ysera or Elune, something along those lines. Like, to really give me an idea of what it is that's going on there that's going to make me motivated to go through there and care. Because this made me care. This made me want to go see, go through there and see what's going on with Devos and Uther and the rest of the Kyrians. Also, this means Arthas. This now explains why Arthas has been trapped in the Maw all this time. We used to just think of it as the darkness, but now we know it's the Maw. And we thought, how did he just get there without being judged by the Arbiter, who is the one who judges where a soul should end up in the Shadowlands? That's how. Devos and Uther took Arthas, and they took him and dumped him in the Maw without the Arbiter's say. Oh, that break. That's. Now, if you're wondering about what do I think about the possibility of us finding or saving or interacting with Arthas, I know some people are like, leave the Arthas stuff alone, leave it alone. But some people were saying the same thing about Illidan. They were like, don't touch Illidan and his story. It was just fine the way it was in Burning Crusade, which many of us know was not true. The way they handled Illidan in Burning Crusade was a horrible injustice, and I'm glad they fixed him and his story in Legion. I don't think they necessarily need to, but I've always been one of those, I know I'm not alone in this, that would like to save Arthas just from at least being stuck in the darkness. He can stay dead. He can stay in the Shadowlands, but I just don't want him suffering in the Maw because he doesn't deserve it. The real Arthas, Death Knight Arthas, can absolutely be the one to suffer there if he even exists anymore. Whether or not he still exists anymore is questionable. But the real Arthas, he does not deserve that fate. He doesn't deserve that at all. I know there are going to be some people that disagree with me, but that's just how it is. Not everyone's going to agree on everything when it comes to World of Warcraft. Everyone's going to disagree on everything. You can't satisfy everybody. It's something I've come to accept a long time ago. So, we'll just have to agree to disagree on stuff like that if you're one of those who believes Arthas does deserve that fate, but I vehemently do not believe that. So that was the first episode of Shadowlands Afterlives, where we got a glimpse into Bastion. I am very much looking forward to the rest of this series. If you guys want me to continue doing this on each of the episodes of this series, by all means let me know in the comments. If you guys want me to, I'll gladly see if I can be able to do it. Hopefully I won't have any copyright issues involving these episodes. I did run into a couple with the ones from Warlords, but then again, Warlords did have some copyright issues in general. I didn't have any issues with the ones from Legion or BFA, and I'm hoping I won't have any with these ones, but we'll see. But again, if you enjoyed this little discussion that I provided here on this episode and would like me to provide them on the other episodes, by all means, feel free to let me know in the comments, give me your thoughts on this episode and other things that you might be thinking about in regards to either the Shadowlands, the Kyrians, Uther, Devos, anything that's on your mind regarding to this stuff. Let me know, and I will see you guys next time.